Welcome at the networking event for professional urban farmers in Europe. My name is Nele Lauwers and I work for Boerenbond, which is a farmers organization in Belgium. We are also partnered at EFUA, and I'm happy today that I can also welcome Marie Viers as a co-host today, and go through the results of the survey. Maybe Marie, you can also tell something about you and your work.
Hello everyone, I am Marie. I work for AFOP. It's a French association of urban farming, and I'm a project coordinator. And we have, AFOP is a network of professional urban farmers in France, and we have a lot of activities, and especially we organize a festival of urban farming in France every year. So maybe we can talk about this later.
Great, thank you. So before we start discussing the results of the survey, maybe some words about EFUA. EFUA is the European Forum on Urban Agriculture, which is a 4-year project under Horizon 2020. And the aim of EFUA is actually to bring back all the knowledge that is already there concerning urban farming, and also link it to the knowledge that's coming from the actors in the field. We are organizing different conferences. In fact, 2 already are behind us, which is the FACTS conference that was online but broadcasted from Rome. And the last spring we had the next conference in Sofia, and now we're heading towards the final conference, which will be the Action Conference in Brussels next year in September. The date is not already fixed, so it will be somewhere in September, but please follow us on the social media or the newsletter, and I hope to see you maybe all there next year. Next to the knowledge building, of course, a very important part is the scientific knowledge, but next to that, we also think it's very important to connect urban farmers throughout Europe, so they can also learn from each other. We can also learn from that, and therefore we are organizing this year, like every quarter, a survey concerning, with the main question is, how are you doing? So we have like a 10-ish questions concerning the economic and the different aspects of how the farms are doing. And after this, you will also get the opportunity for the online networking event, which gives you the chance to talk to other farmers around Europe and explore their business model, their experiences, and you can all learn from each other in that way. Yes, we go to the survey, but also before that, maybe a small word about the types that we are talking about in this survey. I want to refer to a study that was published within EFUA, which was describing different types. Of course, I know there are different typologies in urban farming, but this is a very recent one, and they identified like 6 different types of urban farms. In this survey, we focus on the 4 types that is really linked to a professional business. You can explore all types online, but I shortly now explain the 4 types which was part of the survey. The first one is the urban farm. This is kind of a farm that is growing a lot of different products outside, full soil, often also combining with selling different kind of services. Next to that you have the zero acreage farm, which is not linked to the full soil, so it's everything that is produced on a substrate. It can be both high or low tech. So it's more specific about microgreens, herbs, edible flowers, but can also be mushrooms, insects, and so far. It can be inside of buildings, on top of buildings. So it's also, in a way, very diverse. Then there is a do-it-yourself farm. At that place, they are not really selling the produce. It's more selling the possibility to produce your own. So they are renting different lots and as a consumer, you can grow your vegetables there and pick, and it's for own consumption then. And finally, there is the social farm where they combine agriculture together with healthcare and a lot of other activities. Often the production there is sold directly or for own consumption. So this is as a short introduction, and we are now ready to dive into the survey. I'm very happy, Marie, you will also help me to reflect on these results, also from the perspective of France. And maybe also important to say, this is the first slide. The results we are discussing are based on an 18 respondents. So it's not a scientific research at all. It's more like a basis for a good discussion or a reflection on different aspects. And also maybe important to mention that we had a little bit more respondents for the first survey of the first quarter, but those are not necessarily the same who responded now. So those two remarks you should keep in mind. So here you see we have like equal numbers of urban farms and zero acreage farms. Two responded that they were linked to social farm, and then there were some others not really linked to the typologies above. I don't know, Marie, do you see something recognizable?
I was wondering to what extent this survey was more was concerning more zero acreage farms, because zero acreage farms maybe have a business model which can be more easily replicated in other countries, more than urban farms that have a business model very local. They are very linked to their local ecosystems, and it's difficult to take the same business model and to put it in another country. So maybe we have more zero acreage farms responding to this survey because the European scales is more interesting for their business.
I understand. That's probably indeed the reason why it doesn't really reflect the amount of zero acreage versus urban farms in Europe or in France. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, maybe.
Then if you questioned or asked for the average yearly sales, you see that most of them responded that it is below 50,000. And also concerning the quarterly profits, we see that I guess it's similar to the last time, that most responded that it was like equal. So again, sounds like optimistic, but we can make some remarks about that, I guess.
Yes, I can compare with the situation in France. It's the same. We have a lot of small companies or small associations doing urban farming, and they have small revenues. Yes, the good news is that despite the inflation, they manage to maintain their level of profits, or they are equal, or sometimes they increase the profits. So it's quite a good news. Even if the economical situation, the global economical situation, is not so good.
It's challenging. I guess we will see some other answers in the next slides that is reflecting this. If we then asked for who do you sell to, you see, of course, that the direct to consumer is always very prominent. But also here, I saw more respondents answered food service and also restaurants and catering. That's maybe something that people don't always think about. They might think it's all about direct to consumer, but also that categories are quite important, I guess.
Yes, we saw that more and more communities are interested by relocating their food systems, and they ask for urban farmers to supply their restaurant or their food service systems with their products, with local products. So it's yes, it's a segment. The urban farmers work more and more with the restaurants and food services, and it's sometimes easier to work with this kind of clients because they have only they can sell high volumes or medium volumes to one client, avoid all the logistics problem and so on. So working with with consumers directly is also you can create a tie relationships with your client. It's very important. So I think it will be the most the dominant client groups for urban farmers, but communities and restaurants are very important because of the facility of this kind of clients.
Yes. Oh, so you actually also see then here the policy that is also growing around urban farms. So communities that are choosing more local produce in their catering.
It's very important. It's more and more important for communities to relocate their food systems, and they are looking for local suppliers. It's very difficult for them to find local suppliers to answer the policy. So urban farmers have a good way to develop their activities this way. So they need to adapt their production and to the demand and the volumes to supply this kind of clients, food service.
Yeah. So that's actually very interesting, and we hope to see more of that in the future. Then someone, if we ask, do you see evolutions? Of course, it's very specific for each business. So, but what was interesting was that someone also mentioned here the need of more team buildings, which I guess we can understand as having a business model from food production on a small scale, which is the case near cities. We often have to look into selling services to also have the business viable.
Yes, and it's we see that the majority of farms cannot survive only with product sales, so they need to develop their activities around the service sale, and team building is a very lucrative activity.
Okay. Before we go to the services, I have a slide concerning the subscriptions, which we also discussed in the first quarter. Also here, for a lot of companies, selling subscriptions is an important way to connect with the buyer, with the communities, or with the people buying from you, and it's also lowering the risks for a part. I did see also in the answers that it is not necessarily the urban farms, but also more and more zero acreage farms are looking in this opportunity. And if you then asked, do you see the number of subscriptions increasing or decreasing, that majority replied that it was equal or increasing. So that is also still for France, for French urban farmers, an important tool, I guess.
Yes, of course. Yes. Urban farms are using subscription in their business model since the beginning, since a long time. And there is more and more urban farms, and they are more and more known by consumers. So it explains the increasing number of subscriptions. what is new is the entry of zero acreage farms in the game, and yes, they understand that subscription can be a good business model to have the same revenues all year. So they goes to the subscriptions, and we'll see if it works for the long time. But it is interesting to see this evolution, and it's the same in France than in the rest of Europe.
So yeah, it's also very good to see that there is also the engaging from the people around the urban farms, that it is not decreasing in a way. So there are still opportunities there, and I think we should be optimistic that people want to choose subscriptions and support the farmer in that way.
It strengthens the relationship between the farm and the consumer or the community around the farm.
Yeah, that's good. It reminds me of a quote of a participant on a farm who said, "We subscribed for vegetables and we got so much more."
Yeah,
which reflects what is an urban farm. It's more about the food. It's more than only the food. It's also knowing your farmer, engaging in a local project, the greening, the education, the full package. We already talked a little bit about those team buildings. So services are quite important for urban farms. Also in this quarter, you see that the package of having people on the farm, education, tours are quite important. But this time we added some extra topics like consultancy and events location. And I see those two are also quite well used, especially the events location. Marie, do you feel there is more interest from companies who want to be in a green environment for a meeting or a team building? What an urban farm can offer?
Yes, there is a demand to organize team buildings not so far from the city, but in a good environment, and you can discover a new site or something, and they really like to organize their team building in urban farms. Sometimes farmers organize workshops with people coming in the farms, and so they can discover the biodiversity. They can discover how you can cultivate eggplants. I don't know. So it's yes, it's very interesting for people and for urban farmers, because the revenues of this event are very high compared with the revenues from schools or from communities to organize the same type of activities. And sometimes urban farmers sell these events to big companies a little bit with the higher price, so they can offer the service to schools and so on. And this is like a mentor between companies, urban farms and schools. And everyone is okay with that, and it's a good deal. I think we could talk about this model and maybe spread it.
Yes, that's indeed an interesting topic, that it gives the opportunity also to schools who are sometimes struggling with their budgets,
Yes,
but also or in need of food education and greening.
And big companies can write it in their environmental reports.
Yes.
And
yeah, it's a win-win. I feel it.
Yes.
Yeah, we should explore the topic in the future. Then this is of course important, the income, because if we then look at the prices of the suppliers, most of the respondents replied that of course the costs did rise at the suppliers. It's not very different from the first survey. I guess labor and energy are always on the top. Last time it was more energy than labor, but it had to do with we came out of winter. So I guess, unless you want to comment on this, there is nothing really new about this slide, I guess.
It's not really new. What we can say that the cost of energy concerns more zero acreage farms, because they need more energy. And we saw this year in France, and I think it's maybe the same in other European countries, several zero acreage farms going down. And one of the reasons is maybe is surely the cost of energy.
Yes. If we then look into the employment of the people, you again see here like the reflection of what we already learned. A lot of urban farms also commented in the survey, but they're quite optimistic. No one is really planning to lay off personnel. Yes, I guess this is something that reflects the feeling we have so far.
It's a good news.
That's good news.
If we need to compare with France, we can see that among the members of AFOP, we have more figures about the number of employees, and the average is around 9. It can be explained by the fact that we have a lot of small companies or association who have between 1 and 5 employees. And we had some big ones, and they have more than 50 employees. So the average is around 9. But in the fact, yes, it's quite the same compared with the European level.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for adding this. I wanted to link with they're not laying off personnel. Maybe the labor and the hands on the farm are maybe also linked with the well-being. How are you doing? I guess it's always a lot of work, a lot of challenges at the same time. But this survey, last time there were like more than 7 people responding, it's not so well, I need a break. You could say it's only 1, but still it's a challenge, I guess. And I was wondering, how do you at AFOP help the urban farmers if they are calling you with their worries?
Yes. Yes, we have the advantage to have some people. We are 5 employees in AFOP, and we are responsible, each employee is responsible for a French region. And so we have a tight relationship with the farmers, member of AFOP, and they don't fear to take their phone to call us and to share their worries. And so we are here to hear them and to discuss with them, and sometimes to give advice and to put in touch with people that can help. And so it's not so much, but it's very important for them. So we hope that it helps, and sometimes you just need to share your mind or your mindset, and it goes well. So
Yeah.
and we also offer solutions to reflections about economic problems, technical difficulties, and sharing it with all the AFOP members is one of the solutions. And we also put them in touch with experts of each domains, so they can get answers, and they can also yes, ask personalized advice to
yes,
for their own situation, and so it can solve some problems.
Yes, that's nice to hear, and it really shows the strength of such an organization where people can just call and I don't see it right now. How can you help me? You have the advice, but also just like listening to the problems, which is very important, I guess, for entrepreneurs. Okay. Then we asked for the new plans in the short term. Most of the respondents also now said that they were planning to execute plans as planned. No one was really saying they would cancel down their business. One mentioned that they were thinking of handing over the company. That's something, a message I also sometimes hear. That they started up a new company, but it asks so much efforts. In the end, after 5 years, it's often a very nice company. But for the people who started it, it's sometimes very taking a lot of energy, and they are looking on how to restructure a bit or look for someone else who can jump in and put in new energy. So I think that is something that many will recognize. If we then asked what type of plans they were thinking of, it's a wide range of answers, both technical but also organizational. And if that's okay for you, I would like to jump to the slides concerning the biggest challenges, because I think that also reflects where the concerns are at this time. So the professionalization, I put it on top because it's very general. The aim of the most companies is, or almost everyone is improving sustainability. So that means both on the side of the production, but also how are you organized? And on the side of production, of course, we saw that rising costs, and they are looking for ways to have it like to pass it on to the buyers, how to like rebalance the risks there. So the challenge they expressed was a challenge of an economic balance, also secure the financial position. And if that is not the case, how to, like I said, pass the costs towards the buyers, but also look for technical and financial support and funding. Then I put some other topics together, which was more related to the selling parts. It's always a challenge to retain clients, but I guess that's for every business, and at the same time also find new clients. Especially for urban farms, there is the need of meeting that supply and demand thing, especially also for vegetables that won't take months before they get bad. So if you have produce, you have to have selling at the same time, and often during the season, that can put some challenges or pressure down, I guess, especially in summer. And then also concerning the organizational structure is the requirement of competent staff, keeping people engaged on the farm. But also someone mentioned social conflicts with neighbors, and then maybe more positively, how to engage more with the community. And to finalize, and then I definitely also ask Marie to reflect on these. I put together some points that were more related to policy making. They said, like, we really want to improve the political attention. Also, that the role of urban farms is much more than only the food production. It's all kinds of forms of nature in the city that is very important. But at the same time, finding lands, keeping lands, having the perspective of the availability of land for a longer term, that is a very, very pressing issue in urban farming. So this is very important. And I guess everybody who is into urban farming as an organization is looking into this topic. Also, legislation adapted to urban farming, they found it a challenge. And then finally, cooperation with other organizations, also international. That's also partly what we want to support here. A lot of challenges, I guess. I don't know, Marie, where you want to start and add something, how you handle this.
At EFUA, we deal with all these challenges, and we try to help our members to deal with. And for example, we just create a network dedicated to communities to help them to understand how urban farming is working and how we can cooperate between communities and urban farmers. We also work on legislation. We have a specialist in EFUA about French legislation, and we create and we put on our website the most asked questions about legislation, and so urban farmers can get on the website and find the answer. And so we try to make it easy to understand, and we are also here to answer a specific question. So we have also a lot of question about logistic, because when you install a new farm in a city, you can think that it will be easy to get from a point to another one, but in fact it's very difficult, because you can have a lot of small plot of production, and you have to go from one to another, and it's very difficult to get to optimize the logistics. So we are working on it actually. On the websites of EFUA, we have a lot of resources, like good practice guides. So we try to put all the information on one place, our site, and so communities and farmers can go there and have all the information and the topic about what we work. And we are also here by phone or by email to answer all the questions and to put in touch every stakeholders. That is our main role. We are here to put in touch all the people around interested by urban farming.
Great, sounds great. Sounds like you are very well organized. And there's a lot of information on the website.
We are only 5, but we are passionate, so we.
I feel that. It's very nice to work with you. So yeah, thank you for walking with me through the results. Also reflecting from your perspective. I don't know if you still want to say something about things that you're planning to do, or like a final comment or a service that you want to highlight.
Yes, we have urban farming observatory on our website, and we try to to have figures about French urban farming. It's very tight work, but we are motivated, and maybe we can spread it in Europe. And you did a work like this a few months ago, so it's a big work, but it's very interesting to have a precise figure and to see the evolution of urban farming throughout Europe. So I hope we could cooperate on this topic, and also with all the topics about urban agriculture. And we are also here to discuss with the other countries who would like to create a network like AFOP in their country. And yeah, it could be, it's very useful for urban farmers, and we hope that our model will inspire other countries.
Yeah, so it could actually be replicated to other countries. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. And is it something that farmers themselves gain a lot of information about their business, or is it also figures towards cities and communities to show? No.
It's for all the stakeholders, so
Yes.
urban farmers too.
Okay, great. Yes, nice. Thank you. All right, then we're at the end of the presentation. There's now the time for the networking, and thank you for watching, and have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.